why not invite anyone else who wants to come and play? So we can't always do that, but it worked out this time that we could. So it's nice to see so many people here. Many of you met our CKLS staff this morning. We do have a few of those staff members here kind of hanging out, taking care of some things like attendance, and some of our tech support are with us. So we do have our helpers in the background.
We have a question.
You have a question? Okay.
Elizabeth Worth says, I'm curious, what are the requirements? I am not a librarian. I'm a local mom who's leading the program this summer.
Which library are you working with, Elizabeth? If you have a mic, go ahead and unmute yourself. Agra, okay.
Yes, I'm in Agra. It's just, or Agra, just a very small local library. We have around a dozen children.
If you will send your email to that email address, send your email and just say, hey, I'm from Agra. I'm leading the summer program. We're going to get back with you and we're going to get you lots and lots of information. You can, oh yeah, there it is. You can send it to Patty.
Thank you.
We've got lots of stuff and we've sent things off, but it's just a matter of the right and the left hand talking to each other. We can straighten that right out.
And thank you for doing that, Elizabeth. It's so vital in our small communities that we have people who are willing to help out a one-person library. So thank you very much.
I think you'll find it a little bit chaotic at times, but I'm telling you, even if you've done story time for 20 years, it's always a little chaotic, but you're going to find it very rewarding.
Okay, it is 1 o'clock. My name is Patty Collins, and I am the Youth Services Consultant here at CKLS. And
I'm Diane Bott, and I'm the Youth Services Assistant. I am Patty's straight man.
I don't know what she means. But if you were here this morning, you probably have a good idea. So first of all, welcome back to CKLS, the virtual version. I know this
started, Ron.
I know this isn't the necessarily your favorite way to meet, but this is the way we get to meet right now. It is the safest way. As you can see, there's always a mask dangling off my ear, and I don't ever remember I'm even wearing it. The one day I had one dangling, and I was already wearing one. And Diane says, "I think you're like overdone." So, but it's there to remind me when I get out of my chair to put it on. We know this isn't the most helpful way to do an idea swap, but we're going to do our darn best and have a good time. Mary Beth, are you recording?
Yes, we are recording.
Terrific. Okay, so there are lots of ways to communicate with us today. Please type your questions into the chat, or if you want to talk, don't hesitate to unmute your mic and I'll shut up so you can speak out and tell us what's going on. Some of you are brand new to this, and I know that summer library program is probably a little bit scary. And some of you aren't real sure that maybe you made the right career decision in the midst of a pandemic, decide to be a librarian. But the last 11 and a half months has proven to us that we can serve our communities. We can do it in unique ways, and we are not alone. Although you might be the single person working in a library and you truly feel isolated, your library world embraces you, and you have lots of opportunities to learn from each other. Here in this environment, you have the benefit of lots of years experience sitting here at CKLS Youth Services. This is my 27th year being a children's librarian, and Diane's 19, maybe? I don't know. It's close to that. Diane's just forever. So you have a lot of benefit of this. For those of us working in Central Kansas Library System libraries, you also have access to a plethora of wonderful materials that are available only to your libraries. Those that are visiting us from outside the system today, contact your youth services consultant at your system offices It lets you know what special services might be available to you as a youth person. The first question we had was, what are the requirements? You know what? To be a story person doesn't have a requirement. The only one that I would say is real is you gotta be willing to try. You don't have to be a born storyteller. You don't have to be an educated person. You don't even necessarily have to like kids, because I've seen a lot of people who can do it who don't like children. However, you've got to want it. And to be able to take a book and go, hey, there's magic in here. And I'm going to be the one to bring that magic. So I guess the one thing that you probably do is a little bit of bravery. And when you're looking at a summer library program staring you in the face a couple months out and your library hasn't been normal for a year, I know it's frightening. But I look at those faces out there and I see those people who've been doing virtual programs without stop since we came back to work. I see those people that were out there sending messages to their families saying, hey, we miss you, we're still here. And those people that are attempting to read a book online, just to make that connection to the children and the families in your community. So by the fact that you're here, that's the requirement. You've already met that, you showed up and you're willing to share today. So if you have a book that you love, or a craft that you already have planned, or a craft that you've used before, an idea, this is your opportunity to share. We still have a whole nother 2 hours worth of stuff we could tell you about, but we want to give this opportunity to you. Diane says that she's going to go through the packet of materials that CKLS libraries received and that others can get off of the Google Drive.
Okay. This is Diane. And if you registered ahead of time for the workshop, you received the turtle bag. And in that turtle bag, there was a manila envelope that has crafting supplies in it. This morning, we did the fidget. We did the fidget with a shower curtain ring. This afternoon, here's another little fidget, and it is your perler beads that are in the egg and a large paper clip. Sorry, those were also in your packet, and it's just a matter of sliding the perler beads onto the paper clip. Super simple. And I sit here and play with mine all the time. It's always on my desk, except for this morning when it was at the workshop.
There's a question.
Then also in that bag is a sheet of black construction paper and some brown construction paper and some white construction paper. And I don't know that you have to do this now, but I want to show this because Patty and I got such a kick out of this little craft. It's animals at night. And it's, it's those stick-on eyeballs that should be in your packet. It's silly. It's just silly. Put your eyeballs wherever you want to. Make your white into stars. Do whatever you want to with that one. That's why we didn't include instructions for that one, because you're going to use your imagination just like a kid would.
They call that process art because nobody gives you a instruction of what it's supposed to look like. And that's important that kids learn that way as well.
Yes, that's the teacher coming out over there. I'm just doing it for the fun. Okay, the last thing is this little chameleon who is so cute. It is a circle folded over a straw and glued down. This is a smaller circle cut in a in a coil for his tail. It's glued on one side. I cut out white circles, put a dot on them. This is taped to your straw before you tape it to your inside your half folded circle. And once again, we did not include instructions. If you need to see it again later on, let me know. I'll show you where I found the idea, but I didn't have a pattern or anything for those. Just did them.
But we can, for some of you that would be more comfortable with the pattern, we will put patterns in the shared drive. So, because some people are not comfortable just winging it. And I don't know if you know me, but I'm really comfortable just winging it.
Patty, Diane, we have a question.
Whoops. Sandy asked if the craft plans were in the shared folder. They are not, but we can send links. Kim said you didn't see that. You just saw. Okay. Kim, what
No.
didn't you see? Didn't see it this time. The last chameleon. Okay. He's a circle folded in half over a straw that has the strip of red paper taped to it. Just cut out eyes, and then a smaller circle cut into a coil. And he,
I
okay.
believe Liz has some questions from the chat.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Port Library asked if you have someone that comes in and helps read stories, is it considered copyright infringement for them reading the book?
If they are reading, if they're reading stories live, no, that is not copyright infringement. If they are reading stories, oh, looky there. If they're reading stories on through virtually through video, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh, sorry. If they're reading stories virtually, then they do need to follow publisher permissions for each of those books that they choose to read. So that is where the copyright information gets in there. And I will reshare those publisher permissions because they do update each quarter. Right now, they all exist through March 1, and some of those will have been extended to June 1. But frankly, once the school year ends, I think maybe a lot of those publisher permissions might actually disappear this time. They were generous enough to share them last year. Do you have other questions for us, Miss Liz?
Nope, I think we already got the other one.
Terrific. Okay, Diane, is there anything else from the packet that you'd like to share? Okay. So the question came to me via email between the two sessions today that about the packet information. CKLS libraries that registered before the 17th of February, their packets either have reached them or they're in the mail to them through courier. CKLS libraries who have not did not get that information to us before the 17th will get their packets later this year, and that would include their print copies of the packet. There are items that appear in the Google Drive that are not in the packet because some of that is some of it was created later, but some of it is continuing to build. So we don't want to print something that was going to be out of date in 5 minutes. So, okay. Does anybody would anybody like to share? You can shout out to one of us, or you can send a message through chat.
Port asks, how many weeks are the programs this summer, virtual and in-house programming?
Okay, I think maybe the question might be, how many do I have to do? CKLS does not have a requirement on how many summer library events that you have. My recommendation is a minimum of 4 weeks because we need to create a pattern for families. Libraries across Kansas The minimum generally is about 4. The longest goes about 12. And to me, the summer library program season begins either at the end of school or June 1st, whichever occurs first in your community. And about August 15th is kind of when it ends. So I would say large libraries do 8 weeks of programming, and smaller libraries tend to do between 4 and 6. So there is no requirement, but you kind of want to be busy through the month of June at least, in order to make it, to help prevent that summer slide, but also to keep families coming to you and making sure the library is important in their lives.
Amy from Otis comments, for all you Hobby Lobby fans, they have some adorable Valentine's animal puppets. You color them and add a piece of paper and their mouths open and close. I would show them off, but I left them on my kitchen counter.
I can talk about my paper bag puppets.
Go ahead, Alice.
Okay, so for spring break this year, since I can't have any in-person programming like I normally do for the school children, like we did at Christmas time for winter break, we're having make and take bags. And for spring break this year, we're not doing Oriental trading. And I found on abcteach.com, there are some free stuff. It's not all have to pay. And they do have some paper bag puppets, several of them. And so I'm including the children will either get a cow, and my cows are black because we raise black cows on my farm. I did the owl, and then there's the pig. So there's not exactly instructions, but when you print it off, at the bottom on the first page is what it should look like. And so it's a very inexpensive program. You just glue them. The paper bags are what? I think I got 150 at the grocery store for next to nothing. So that's something one could do for this summer. So they have others. Now that I realize I should have waited till this summer to do this, there are others that they had for free that you can still download.
I will add this to the shared drive, and in the shared drive, there'll be a section of items shared.
No, you called me there right before noon.
We have a comment from Paula Patterson at the Ottawa Library. They say they run an 8-week program. Michael from CKLS shared www.abcteach.com. Amy at Otis says we are a tiny library. We do the 4 Fridays in June as programs, have take and make / grab and goes. All of July we do reading bingo. Sometimes we throw out other items with feedback from kids and parents.
And remember, whatever you do is not wrong, and whatever combination of what that might look like. At CKLS, we did encourage you, if you make and take bags, that those are considered programs. And many of you can testify now, after you did a season of this, is saying it's way more work to make a make and take than it is to actually do a craft in your library, because you put the stuff out and everybody gets what they need. Well, you're making little containers of glue and cutting pipe cleaners to, this length for every child. And so, yes, please count those make and takes. And to me, that is virtual programming. And if you ever have a question about how to count those things, Mary Beth and I have figured this out now, and we can help you with that. Who has something to share? It's your turn. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Diane's gonna have to share her Legos. So in the catalog, there were there was a Lego set where you could build a lion. I have to warn you, he is super, super tiny. This hurt my fingers. Compared to regular Legos, this is a fish. This is the lion. And yes, my work one day was building a Lego dog and a Lego dragon with a movable mouth. These were really pretty cheap in the catalog, but they are so tiny. Huh? Oh yeah, they were $1.25 a piece.
Yes, Diane's job is awesome. And yes, sometimes her job is some play at work. But if you think about it, if we're doing children's library work, sometimes we all get a little bit of play in our lives, which is nice. Diane's just lucky that
We have a question from Stacy at Hoisington. She says, in your experience, do kids enjoy mythical or real subjects more, or do you mix it up?
Okay, group, shout it out. Tell us what you think.
Sylvan Grove says that they love, Amy from Otis says, Stacy, I want to mix up both mythical and real and throw in a little Aesop's Fables. Stacy from Hoisington says, I love that. Sylvan Grove, what did Sylvan Grove say? We do a program on Animal Scat, Kansas Wildlife Style. Bison has the Animal Pride series by Dave and Pat Sargent. They are so cute. Can Diane or Patty show how to make the iguana from the packet again? Please and thank you from Stockton.
All right, I am highlighting Diane's screen. If you can't see it, Diane, you might have to say something about it so that your screen pops up for everybody.
This is a large circle folded in half over the straw. The straw has the red piece attached to it, just with a piece of tape. This is a small circle cut into a coil. This is just a free-handed eyeball glued down. I did steal that off of some probably Pinterest page, and if I come across it again, I'll send it out there, but I can't make any guarantees.
Okay. We have some other comments. Kim at Palco says she does a mixture of both. Kids like all different things. Frank Carlson says we mix it up in Concordia. Angie at Glen Elder says we mix it up. Stacy at Hoisington says, I love the Aesop's Fables at Amy. Amanda at Lincoln Carnegie says we mix it up. And Sherry Larson says
Let's try to unmute Sherry.
Yeah. She does Bark George with stuffed animals. I put them into a duffel bag or box covered with a piece of material. I lay George, a dog puppet, on top and pull the animals out through his mouth. The kids love it. Karen Osborne says she mixes it up.
I think Sherry might be unmuted now. If you have anything more to add to that, Sherry, you should be unmuted. We're still not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The only thing I do is I try and remember to pull it out of from behind his mouth, and the kids just eat it up because they play with George. He's one of their stuffed animals to play with, but they just think that's the coolest because you reach down far down. Every once in a while, if I can get hold of a glove from the vet, I use that too, because the vet, of course, puts his glove on before he reaches down into George's mouth.
Very cool. Thank you, Sherry.
Amy at Great Bend says we are doing animals around the world. They earn passport stamps by reading and attending programs about animals in their continent. We have make and take bags that can be done at the library if we have programs, or ready to go if we cannot be together. So they're covering their bases. Port Library says they're looking at maybe doing both there at Port Library. Joanne Weaver at Kinsley is saying, I'm thinking of doing animal stories or fables from around the world. Some even tell how animals got or lost their tail. And we have Treva Payton at Ellenwood says they mix it up. And Michael went ahead and posted Patty and Diane's Pinterest pages, so we could get lost in those. Gloria asks, from Sunshine asks, has anyone ever ordered the Noah's Ark stuffed animals? We're thinking of splurging, but want some feedback first.
Gloria, I'm not familiar with, I don't know if you're actually talking about Noah's Ark, if you're looking at that as a brand, or if you're looking at as looking for a set of Noah's Ark stuffed animals. So if you could share a little bit more information, because I could do some research and perhaps find some reviews, or maybe because I can speak to the larger library world as well. It does look like a lot of you are going to perhaps the fable or the animals around the world route, and that is going to be a little bit of the real life versus the pretend animals. In Aesop's fables, you have animals that can talk and have human characteristics about them. So they as a fable, they're classified as nonfiction, but they're actually a fiction story in our world. Let's see, it looks like someone has found the iguana video. Thank you, Deanna at Bison. And then Marion did the Noah's Ark animals. They were great. Kids loved it. Okay, so I will get into touch of Janet at Marion City Library and get information for you, Gloria. So I will take care of that when we're finished today. So I can help there. Good. It looks like we have some friends sharing some information in the chat. So make sure you're following that as well. And one of our challenges for you is in the packet, and also Alice went out to Dollar Tree at lunch today in Concordia and found the little eggs that we had the prizes, the little pieces for the beads and stuff in them. And we have a whole bunch of animals, and we didn't know what we would possibly do with these, because they're already decorated. So it's not like it's an egg decorating activity. So we want some ideas from all of you of what we might use these for. I've been sitting on 120 of them since February of 2020, waiting for this year. So I need some ideas, because I still got about 30 here. And in the package, there are 5 different animals, 2 of each animal, and they had 2 or 3 different packages. So there's cats and tigers and elephants. So we have a whole bunch of those. So that's one of our things. Let's see. Oh, the Noah's Ark Animal Workshop. I got it. Okay, that helps. Yes. It is a little pricey for some small libraries, but we do have had a couple of libraries in our system who have done it. I will do a message out to the Google groups and ask our libraries to share their experiences there on the Google group. Excuse me, sorry. Several people say it's definitely worthwhile, so that's great. Somebody asked if this could be animal garland or perhaps necklaces, because you could poke holes. There's that. See, that's we're all thinking. Oh, so much fun. An outdoor game for kids to hunt. Of course, shaker eggs is a logical answer. That's why we put the small stuff in them when we sent them to you, because we thought This is a venue. And since we're living in this make and take world, we had planned for you to be, oh, somebody says a headband. Ooh. Oh, Patty's really excited. Thank you, Treva, at Ellenwood. Thank you for that idea. But using them as a venue for take and make activities. So a lot of you are probably using paper bags and small condiment cups. If you need resources of how to find those inexpensively, please reach out to me privately. Diane and I've kind of been collecting some of that information kind of on the side. A safari hunt instead of an Easter egg hunt. Oh, and Amy says if you're brave, you can use them to build, make a chopstick and use that as a container. So there's a science activity along with a craft. Yeah, you.
And Port Library says put your small craft items in there like we did. She included thumbtacks. Do you remember last year when we did dragon eggs? You could do these again. They're snake eggs. And it's with the thumbtacks. I think Amazon has probably replenished their supply. Right now, we did have a pandemic in between there, so I think they probably have their thumbtack supply replenished, and you could probably order thumbtacks and styrofoam eggs again.
And dragons have tails, so dragons still fit.
Dragons do have tails. We talked about that this morning. They do qualify as an animal.
Some people mentioned Slimer Play-Doh holders, but I gotta shout it out. Gloria, you just made me real happy. He says, our kids love the eggs and one of them made it to the county fair. Woo!
Yes. Wouldn't it have been nice? Yeah.
So somebody had noted in the chat that this was a fun STEM idea, and with making Play-Doh and making slime, doing something like geo eggs and those kinds of things. Those are all STEM activities. And you notice that not a single one of them plugs in. I have been a story lady, as I said, for this will be 27 years. And I've always done some kind of science with my story time, whether it's we make a cloud in a jar for Weather Week, or we bring an animal to story time, because there's something there. But it's that reminder that you are all already doing STEM and STEAM programming, even though you don't call it that. If you know how it fits into your day, you're telling a story, you're doing a science activity, and that science activity may be truly mixing colors. And that may be mixing colors just with washable magic markers, but mixing colors is science. So remind yourself and pat yourself on the back and say, I'm already doing this, and give yourself some grace. Some of you in this room probably didn't go to college and have a degree in elementary education like I do. You don't need one in order to be a storyteller or a librarian and be able to serve children. And so your awesome self is enough.
And as Mary Beth points out, learning about animals is biology, no matter how you look at it.
Do you
How
guys
many
have
facts does it take to make an egg?
And yes, it is 1 million. Amy, you are correct. 1 million will be fine to order that, because no, seriously, I don't know. We did not count them, and
I did sort of a count. It's somewhere
Of course
between
you did.
120 and 180, depending on how much you pack the egg. And for those libraries that were not a part of CKLS and hadn't seen this activity before, we can send you the instructions. Just drop me an email. We'll send you the instructions and where to find the best deals because for doing this for a take and make, you're going to send more than you need. Those Dollar Tree packages of 100 is what a lot of our librarians send. It is way more text than you need. And unfortunately, you can usually only find them in gold or silver. The colored ones that Diane showed are plastic covered text, but she tried to make a snake pattern, but it didn't quite work. So Diane, since all of our friends are here and we've been here for a little bit, Diane, would you be willing to share your screen and show that cool thing that Liz sent to us this morning? Mary Beth, can you give Diane screen sharing privileges?
She is a co-host. She should be able to.
Okay, good deal.
Okay, I was not prepared for this. I did not have this up, so you're going to have to give me just a second to bring that up, and then I will share it out.
Okay, so what Diane is searching for is the your animal name little generator. And then what we want you all to do is for a few moments, once you figure out what your name is, we want you to change it in the on your screen name, because we want to see all your screen names with all of your new names. And if anybody has one that you really, really think is like so awesome that you have to tell us about, then please speak. So she's going to share that here in just a moment.
I went ahead and put it in chat.
So Rami says regarding the snake egg or the dragon egg, says a lot of tax. She said they use between 150 and 180. You can also coat the egg in glue and glitter. If you're anti-glitter, you can do tissue paper or punch holes. So what is your wild animal name? If you will figure out who you are and then change your name in the chat or in the on your screen.
And can you zoom in a little bit for us, please, Diane?
Zoom in. Yeah, the plus at the bottom. There you go.
Thank
I cannot. There we go. And who am I? I am a wild crocodile. I need to know who I am to change my name.
Ooh,
Okay.
elegant giraffe. I love that. So really well.
These are great. I'm Patty the Wild Crocodile Collins. So, oh, there we go. Now we're seeing your names. Cuddly Monkeys, Elegant Hippos, Silly Hippos, Playful Rhinos. So you can see how easy and fun this might be for you to do. Oh, I love you, Mary Beth. Mary Beth. I'll have Mary Beth talk about filters in a second because that just cracked me up. It's the first time I've seen her all day. But you can see this would be fun for kids. There's a whole bunch of name generators out there. And the other one that we had this morning was a little, might have considered a little bit racy for some places. For us, this was the appropriate one. So something a little fun. You're welcome to remain as a colorful zebra and a cute snake if you'd like to, or you can put yourself back to you. Mary Beth, if you would spotlight me, I'm going to share a story.
Good to go.
The story that I'm going to share with you is one of my most favorite go-to stories for doing school presentations with the 2nd through 4th grade crowd, because they're kind of a tough crowd. A lot of times for the 5th and 6th graders, you spend more time on what the program is and don't spend a lot of time trying to entertain. But if you don't know this book, this is an old book called Tadpole's Promise
Best.
by Jeannie Willis and Tony Ross. And Diane calls this the best love story ever. Where the willow meets the water, a tadpole met a caterpillar. They gazed into each other's tiny eyes and fell in love. She was a beautiful rainbow, and he was her shiny black pearl. I love everything about you, said the tadpole. I love everything about you, said the caterpillar. Promise me you'll never change. I promise, he said. But sure as the weather changes, the tadpole could not keep his promise. Next time they met, he had grown 2 legs. You broke your promise, said the caterpillar. Forgive me, said the tadpole. I couldn't help it. I don't want these legs. All I want is my beautiful rainbow. All I want is my beautiful black pearl, he said. Promise me you'll never change, said the caterpillar. I promise, said the tadpole. But as sure as the season changed, the next time they met, he had grown arms. That's twice you've broken your promise, exclaimed the caterpillar. Well, forgive me, begged the tadpole. I could not help it. I don't want these arms. All I want is my beautiful rainbow. And all I want is my shiny black pearl. I will give you one last chance, said the caterpillar. But as surely as the wind changes, and the tadpole could not keep his promise, and the next time they met, he had no tail. You have broken your promise 3 times, and now you have broken my heart, said the caterpillar. But you are my beautiful rainbow, said the tadpole. Yes, but you are not my shiny black pearl. Goodbye. She crawled on a willow branch and cried herself to sleep. One warm moonlit night, she woke up. The sky had changed. The trees had changed. Everything had changed. Except for her love for the tadpole. Even though he'd broken his promise, she decided to forgive him. Oh, the tragedy, someone writes in the chat. She dried her wings and fluttered down to look for him. Where the willow meets the water, a frog was sitting on a lily pad. Excuse me, she said. Have you seen my tiny black? But faster than she could say pearl, the frog leapt up and swallowed her whole in one great gulp. And now he waits and waits, thinking fondly of his beautiful rainbow and wondering where she went. The end.
Told you it was the best love story ever.
That's the way to make a group of good old boys crack up. You get a lot of respect with a book like this. It is an older book by Jeannie Willis from the 90s. 2003. That was one of my staples that I grabbed on too long ago. Another thing that we just found in the rotating items when they were, you see this? Cat Says Meow, a book of animalopeia, like onomatopoeia. But what's really cool, okay, the page says dog says woof, and look at the dog. And his letters make up his face, the letters of what he says. So here's horse says neigh. There's sheep says baa. Isn't that clever? So we were really excited to find that one. And that will be another one that'll be in giveaways to CKLS libraries. So I'm sorry that I traumatized you with the book, but I'm not really, because it is, I mean, it is a classic. So awesome, awesome. And so some agree with me that that is a great love story, and others not so much. Diane has disappeared off somewhere. I have no idea where. I love stories that you can act out. So if you're lucky enough to have a couple of teenagers that are willing to come and act out stories for you, look at a story and see how you can bring that story to life. It is not an infringement on copyright if you retell the story with actors. Tiger Can't Sleep is one of my favorites, because basically the kid tells the tiger to go to bed, and he goes to the closet, and every time he comes out with more fun things to do. And the kid's just trying to sleep, but Tiger doesn't like quiet. And this one works with two people. One's the kid, one's the tiger, and you don't have to stick with it in that way. Alice from Frank Carlson says Spunky Little Monkey by Bill Martin Jr. also has fun audience participation. Anything that you can do to get them involved with you is great. I'm going to grab some cool games that I want to tell you about. Diane?
Okay, how do you want me to show you this? I'm not sure why, but it is a origami kiss, but she could turn it into something else. I can't. So it kisses. So there's that. That wasn't even planned. It was not part of it. You've all seen the shadow drawing where they take the plastic animals and put them on the sidewalk. What Patty and I have found, and then you trace around the shadow. Patty and I went and did an experiment one night, and you either have to catch the early morning sun or the late evening sun to draw out that shadow. In the middle of the day, it just doesn't, the shadow doesn't stretch like it does in the evening or the early morning. So we found these wood animal cutouts at Dollar Tree, and you know, we tried it last year, but we're not here real early in the morning or late at night. So there you go.
This game called Heads Talk, Tails Walk is super fun. This was a recommendation after we did the program at the Kansas Library Association. And the heads talk, so we have a chicken. And the tails walk, we have a chicken that walks like a frog. Now, it's fun to make animal noises. It's fun to walk like a frog. But when you have them together, look at what kind of a fun parade that you might have. There are 10 head cards and there's 10 tail cards. And so it's would be a whole lot of fun to like ring a bell and pull another set of cards and have the kids, as they're doing some little animal parade through your library or around your block, because we might not be able to be in person. This would be super fun and easy for movement. And the game we bought from Amazon, it cost about $9. And this, I think, is this, I would purchase this on my own for if I had grandchildren or kids, because this is like super awesome.
Miss Patty, can a library borrow that game?
A CKLS library is welcome to put a request in for that game or some of the others that we will show you, like this one called Catastrophe. This is an engineering game where there's a tree, a cat's climbing in the tree, and you have to balance the pieces on the tree. We have another one like this that's about elephants called Air Elephant. That is another one that's basically like this. These are good examples of oh my goodness. Read Laura's comment. Chat. Laura from Ray Hobson and Republic says, I was hoping this was recorded because we have been delivering baby goats and I completely forgot. Well, see, that's the best summer library program thing ever. Baby goats.
Baby goats, yay. Chris asks about the dice. And yes, I have designed the clap like a seal. I have designed sets for your dice. We can send those out later. We have them all printed and ready to send out to you. We just had so much going in the packet that we're going to wait. But if you would like to have something that has the pictures of the heads and the pictures of the tails for your dice, I can most certainly work on something like that.
Look at how awesome our Diane is. See, some of her job is play, but see, she's already changing what she already made for you, and she's going to make it even better. And again, it'll be on the drive because it's locally created content. We're happy to share. We didn't steal it from somebody that's not shareable. So that gives us a good opportunity to talk about things like when you're out there searching and you see this really, really cool idea, and then you hit the thing that says teachers pay teachers or send us $3.99 or whatever. If we share it with you, it is something that is that fits the permissions and is shareable. Diane could not find the dice things that were shareable, so she made her own, which I appreciate, and hers are in color even. And so the print copies that you get will be in color. But it is something, we understand it's frustrating. If you find something that you really, really like and you're looking for something kind of close to it, send us a message because we may have already found one that we can share the link with you, but we can't share the patterns with you. And we hope that you'll respect the intellectual property and those personal owners' copyrights of those items because it is own content. Technically, this content that Diane made technically owns to CKLS, but we did not copyright it because we're happy to share it.
Paula, the Wild Giraffe, asks, curious, are libraries putting out games and toys for patrons or children to play with in their library? There's some answers in the chat. Belleville has put up all of its games up. Emporia has put up all the games as well. So has Concordia, Cortland, and Great Bend.
So the question came to, can somebody at CKLS borrow such a game? Here's the deal on the games. If a CKLS library borrows something, it is for use by, like the heads and tails game, that would be used by the librarian, not handed out for use by patrons. So it wouldn't just be sitting there for you to use, but it would be something that the librarian could borrow to run a program with the idea that they're the only person that's touching it and using it, and that it gets returned. The things that are not available for checkout are among the games, and the other building toys are not things that we are currently checking out because there is no way for Diane to sanitize 150 little tiny elephants or a 300-piece puzzle. Right now, we just haven't figured that out. As the chat tells us, most of you have your games and toys put away, and nationwide, that is the trend right now. Very few places have them out, and if they do, they have one person that it's their whole job is to do nothing but clean and sanitize. And I bet that's how all of you are. You have nothing else to do. You can just clean and sanitize toys all day long. We know that's not the case. And so that reminder that we understand the value of your time.
And Paula Wild Giraffe said some games are great and they can be turned into virtual games. It's just like Patty was holding up the one piece and the headpiece and the tail piece. You know, you could be sitting in front of the room and holding up. You could be sitting in front of the room and rolling the dice, or in front of the screen, or however you're doing programming. So the kids don't have to touch those things and handle those things. We totally get it.
Kim at Palco has a program called Toyberry, educational toys for children, and Gail was asking Kim to expand upon that.
Kim, can you unmute? We'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're like kits that you've got circulating or something like that. We're all looking for great ideas.
She says she has them put up right now. But what is your Toyberry?
There are a handful of libraries in the state that do have Toyberries that do check out toys more than just board games, where they actually check out everything from educational, rocket stackers for babies all the way up to, Dungeons and Dragons, board games and dice.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, this is Kim from Palgo, and we started this years ago, and it's where we purchased educational toys like plastic puzzles for the kids and babies to put together, along with like the hammering and the screen of a screw and educational things, hands-on. But right now we have them put up, and it was called a Toyberry. And we just purchased educational toys for the kids to either work with when they were in here or check out, like for motor skills and just other different things.
Thanks, Kim.
And then
Dale,
they
thank
just check
you.
them out, or they can come in here and use them, whichever they prefer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary Beth, you look great. Mary Beth, would you talk about the filter that's on your face, please?
I would be delighted to. Okay, so
Diane says that's a filter.
no, this is what I look like every morning. So sometimes your Zoom feature has extra little features. So I've made some screenshots and I'm going to share those with you. But right now you all should be able to do this. All right. So if you go to your bottom left corner of your screen, you should see the video icon and click on that little tiny arrow. And then you can click on choose video filter. And then from there are all sorts of filters that you can choose. Let me see if I can bring mine back up. And you can also click on the other tab that says virtual backgrounds, and you can change your background as well. You may have to update something on your computer first for the backgrounds. The background that I have now is actually a picture from New Zealand, for my trip to New Zealand. So you can upload pictures that are on your computer. When you go to the virtual backgrounds, there's a little plus sign in the top right. Let me share my screen again. In the top right, well, under the big screen, there's a little icon right there. And that, if you click on that plus sign, it'll open up a window, kind of like when you're attaching an email, something to an email. and you can pick your file from there. I can't really show it, but maybe I can do a screen capture and do it that way. So when I click on that little plus sign, it takes me to my downloads folder, or you can pick your pictures folder. And from there, you can pick out a picture. Let me see if it'll show up. I don't know what I have on here, so I'm just gonna pick something. Hopefully, hopefully it's a picture right up there. Okay. It's not showing up on my screen, but I did just change my background. And
we can see that it's been changed, Mary Beth.
Okay.
You must be in the rolling hills somewhere.
This is also in New Zealand. This is on the South Island, and it's just outside of Queenstown, New Zealand. So you can change your background and you can change your face. There's all sorts of animals or masks or doodads that you can put in front of it.
If you are using an older and not updated version of Zoom, you won't, your filters won't work, because mine won't work, but my backgrounds work. So so I think sometimes it's what version of Zoom you're using. So if you haven't updated in a while, you might need to, especially because this is the world we're living in now. But what a fun little way to add something to your virtual Zoom meetings with your family. And apparently Mary Beth's gonna go to the Oscars. We did have a question in the chat. Thank you, Mary Beth, from Barb Bilzer at the Randolph Decker Library in Clyde. She wants to know about, does CKLS still have book walks? Yes, book walks will continue to check out, and Diane will highlight those that feature animal tales and tales, because we have quite a few already made. And so she'll highlight some of those. And Mary Beth continues to be adorable, which is just wonderful. So, and she's wearing her summer library program t-shirt today. Which t-shirt do you have on? Oh, she's got the turtle on, and Diana's wearing the whale, and then mine just says tails and tails. So yeah, so we have so I think all of the summer library program t-shirts this year were universal designs and universal sizes, so you could get the women's t-shirt in any design with a couple other things I just have to tell you about. If you don't know this book, it's called Two Bobbies. It is a true story of Hurricane Katrina. Two Bobbies is written by Kirby Larson. This is Bobby the dog, and this is Bob the cat. Bob the cat is blind. Following Hurricane Katrina, they of course were a couple of animals that had to be left behind. Bobby was chained to the front porch. Bob the cat would not leave him. And they stayed together 4 months following Katrina. They still had not been rescued off of this porch after the waters had receded. And he finally broke free of his chain. Bob the cat never left his side as they traveled the streets of New Orleans. And when the rescuers finally found them, they tried to separate them, and they were in separate cages, and they cried for each other. It took some time from the rescue workers to realize that Bob the cat was blind, and that Bobby had served as his seeing eye dog. And okay, I'm not gonna cry, only a little bit. So eventually they made themselves to a rescue in Utah. Their story became quickly famous because of the magic of the internet. And Bob and Bobby are still living together in Oregon. I know, I got Liz on that one. They're still living together in Oregon. And now Bobby is a very, very senior dog now, but as of last spring, they were still with us. So Melt, who's hiding? clever little book. Okay, so there's the animal page. Again, a game you can do on screen. And then who's hiding? Anybody notice someone looks different? And then on the next page, somebody else is hiding.
We have
all
a
those
couple
parts-
questions.
All those parts of animals disappear on each page. So that one in tails, toes, eyes, ears, and nose. Same concept to littler kids. Yes, Liz, questions that you have.
Silly Cheetah at Otis asks, would there be an Animal I Spy poster available?
I'm working on it. Yes.
Okay. Colorful Zebra is at Hoisington asks, what is a book walk?
A book walk is a book that has been cut apart and put back together. So it has laminated pages. Yeah, no, there's one back here. You want me to get it? You can explain. It can be used in storefronts on Main Street. If you have the holders, you can place them inside holders. And basically, it's an outdoor, contactless, it's an outdoor or indoor contactless program where you walk along and you read a story. And Patty's trying to grab me one that we have here. Sherry says they're great at county fairs. Several communities have the permanent holders for them in parks or downtown. We found out last year that Kansas storms can wreak havoc on them.
You might need to turn
So
off your
this is
background.
basically, well, hang on, I got to shut off my background in order for you to see this. Okay, hi Patty. So this is what a typical page out of a book walk looks like. We have mounted them onto some heavier poster board, and they are quite large. So that therefore that's why they work best outside or in storefront windows. We have several communities that do them during their summer library program. They'll have one put up all the way down Main Street in the storefront windows. So we have, I don't know, I think we lost 3 of them because of those torrential downpours that we had last year. Was it last year? Was it 19? I don't even remember. They just don't hold up, but they're here and they will be available to borrow, and they are a program.
This is Gail at CKLS, and this is such an awesome idea that we sat down and we had a powwow, and we realized that sometimes they're going to get damaged by storms, but this is investment that we're making so that you can provide contactless programming to your community, and they're very cool.
There are a bunch of ways to do stat keeping on the book walk.
Oh, can you back up and address the story walk versus?
Okay, all right. Story walk is a copyrighted phrase that has been adopted by libraries in Vermont, or who created it. So story walk is a copyrighted thing. So CKLS loans out book walks, and on the front page of it, it says, "Welcome to the CKLS book walk, provided to you by your public library," or something of that nature. And that is one of the things I do correct people on using, because our experience has shown us that that is the word story walk. If it gets out, they don't really like it very much, and so we don't want anybody to have an email sent to them. So how to count for story walks or book walks. So here's the deal. Some places have done a QR code that leads directly back to the library, where basically it opens up a portal that says, thank you for attending our book walk. Please put how many people attended the walk and what day you visited. And that might be. Some places I've seen where they have those real estate boxes where you pull out a little clipboard that has a plastic cover over the top. You write when you attended and how many people visited the book walk that day. Some places, they leave Post-it notes right near the book drop door, and they tell you to drop a note in the book drop, or send an email to the library, and that's listed at the very end. So there's a lot of ways to count. We prefer to use the terminology book walk, but you can use story with something as long as you don't put story walk together as a sentence. But thinking of ways to count is always one of the things that we're looking for. So the length of time a book walk is up counts as one program. And so it doesn't matter if it's up for 2 days or 2 months. That's one program and the number of people that you can count. Now, in counting, it is okay to do an average. So if in fact it's up for 4 weeks and the first week you get what you think are pretty accurate numbers, multiply it times 4 and live your life. It's okay. The state library is not going to come to your house and go, oh, we think that only 3 people attended on the 3rd Thursday because it was raining. Oh, well, it's okay. It is okay to average your programs because that's going to give us close enough to a number. There are a lot of partners out there. K-State Research and Extension already does book walks in some of their communities. And so you might already have a partner. And I do know that the United Way in a few of our counties does book walks. So you might already have a partner and you might say, what can we do? Because they might be stat keeping, but maybe they're not. And it might be an opportunity for you to put a welcome to the book walk presented by ABC County, United Way, and your public library, and you get those stats if they're keeping them in some way. So look at ways to share things. One of the things with the book walk that you might do between, if it's on a sidewalk, is maybe make a silly walk between where they have to hop or skip or tiptoe or walk backwards or whatever. So we're doing some physical movement with it. That's a good idea. And you can do that with chalk and change it up all the time. And it might fit the actual activity that you're doing. Or it might just be for fun. And you can also put that as a place to get literacy information out in your community, whether it's program information. You can put a little box attached to your book walk sign about library programs, or it could be how to learn how to read for adult learners in your community. So you've got lots of options.
The chat is rocking awesome, everyone. Fantastic work.
Okay, Gail, what are you reading in the chat?
I'm just reading that everybody's sharing with how they do a book walk in their community, different ideas on counting. Lisa the Elegant Crocodile from Marysville shared the actual story walk page and the registered service mark. Stores and communities were happy to do it. Sherry Larson did a very exciting where the last page of the book was at the library and they came into the library to get a treat, and that was an easy way to count.
I love all those.
There's at Christmas time. The last stop is the library. And the Mercedes and the Chocolate Pilot book is a great opportunity for a child to build a parachute, and then you tie a little Hershey candy bar to it. They get to launch their parachute and run to the target and get their candy bar. again, there's a STEM activity along with a book club. Because we're not just one trick ponies here. You guys are amazing at what you do.
I'll do the work on the book walks all day long if you guys will use them. It is, I love hearing about you guys putting them up in the store windows and putting them up in the park. I love that. It makes my time spent at the hot laminator, just sweating my life away, worthwhile. So thank you, we appreciate that. And we are working on adding some new ones, so keep watching the catalog.
Crystal Fullerton asks, how many pages are usually in a book walk?
An average is 16. We do have a couple that are up to 22 pages, I think, or 20 pages.
And Lisa asked, are there any good ideas on bilingual books for the summer?
We'll hunt some down and share them out through CanLib. We probably have some in our plethora of information sitting here, but we're a little overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that we could, I mean, we could be with you till 5 o'clock tonight and still not show everything that we have at our desks. So yes, we're happy to share out. We know that one of the big challenges with book walks is how are we gonna put it up, and again, we're worried about the rain. In some of your communities, they may be so small that they have unfortunately lost their downtown businesses, that there's a lot of places sitting empty. But do you happen to know the guy who owns most of the block? Because he might be more than happy to let you use those windows if you go in, put them in there, and you go in and take them out. Because I know some of our towns that, I mean, you know, there's a bank, a post office, and a library, and that's it. Maybe there's even less depending on your town, but maybe there's an opportunity, and this is the time that you use your librarian kindest voice and walk up and say, well, don't you think you could do something for your public library? And of course they will, because I mean, who would turn you down? You're so sweet and all nice.
Nicole Ridgely from Russell Public asks, I don't know about you guys, but I'm struggling to find fun crafts for teens this year. Does anyone have any suggestions?
This is Gail. Probably in somebody's library out there somewhere, there is a klutz book on how to make beaded animals. That was an amazing, amazing book when it was popular. I'm sure now that online there are going to be all different sorts of ideas on beading animals. You're just going to need a lot of pony beads or a lot of seed beads and somebody to count them into baggies. That's one idea I would suggest. Oh, also our teen manga and anime club just sewed little plushies that were really cool.
I have a fancy flamingo.
Diane has a
I
really
found
cool
this
book.
fancy flamingo. And this says it's for kids, but there's some fun stuff in here. And I think ribbon fish made out of ribbon. And you teen librarians know more than I do. I don't have any teens right now that I'm living with, but I'm thinking at one point my teenage daughter would have loved to have made a silly flamboyant flamingo. And the beauty is, this is your packet that you would send home. That's it right there. Yes, you're cutting up pipe cleaners and counting googly eyes and all of that, but it's worth it. Origami, yes.
Teenagers love Shrinky Dink. So shrink plastic projects are fun. That's one of those that I have patterns for. I think they're in the drive. I'm not sure, but we did a a pet fair one year, and we worked the station where they got to come and decorate their dog tag, and then a lot of them made people tags too. That doesn't matter what age they were. So they made people and dog tags, and shrink plastic is fun. Tie-dye. One of the things we did to make tie-dye fit the pet year was they got to bring an item. We provided a t-shirt for them to tie-dye, and we also provided a triangle shaped bandana that they made for their pet. And some of them did Sharpie pictures before they did tie-dye, so that was a hit. Of course, there's a lot of food crafts that you can make into animals, so that would be an easy one, because we know that teenagers love to eat. So think of what you could do with a cookie and some chow mein noodles. You can make spiders really easy. You can take those chow mein noodles and make them into licorice, and that's better as far as I'm concerned, especially if you dunk that whole thing in chocolate. I mean, I can go on forever. We do have a few fun kid and teen recipe books in our collection. That idea that it is, we have creature food in there too, which is, truly creatures. The Shrinky Dink question has come up. What do I need to use? You can use an embossing gun, or you can use a toaster oven in your library break room or library kitchen, or the space behind your desk, which might be in your library. That might be your break room and your kitchen. Somebody says macrame's coming, doing a comeback. Stepping stones. Some of them you can actually make the stepping stone and then paint it, so you have extra steps. And of course, that library rocks idea has never gone away. Diane, show them your rock you found today. Is it here? Diane and I go for a walk every morning, and this is the one she found today. Be positive. And that was outside the library on our little walk. So Amy Mayhill says, from Great Bend, says that Haley is the teen librarian in Great Bend, and she's always willing to share ideas for teen and adult programs. So she's someone you can hit out. Amy, will you put, or Haley, would you put your email address in the chat for us? Paula from the Ottawa Library has a question, and this is for all of you. When it fits in the conversation, she wants to know, does anyone have ideas or recommendations for outdoor story time? Do you use a microphone? Do you do spacing? And then she says, I wish I was comfortable storytelling. Well, the last part of this, Paula, you got this. And you've got a support system right here that can prove that to you. There are a couple of ways that I've heard about this, and then we want to hear from all of you. In some communities, you can arrange to use one of the local channels on the radio station to do drive up story time. I will put a link into put a document in the Google Drive about this. Demco did some research for us and already did the work, so I'm going to put that in there, because basically people pull up to the library parking lot, and it's just like drive-in, but they get to hear stories rather than seeing a movie. And Mary Beth, about what do you spend on a portable microphone system like our little one we have?
Oh, I don't know. I think they run for about, I think you can find one for about 150, maybe a little less. It really depends on what kind of features you're looking for. Some options, you might actually find a better deal if you look for a karaoke machine. So that's also an option. And then you have a karaoke machine, so.
Diane just suggested talking to your local auctioneer. I would also recommend the partnership with your local city and or school. The other people who figured out how to do things outside recently are your local churches. So what kind of partners do I have already in my community? That's always the first question you should ask. Who else can help me do what I want to do? And everybody wins. So look at, can on Wednesday nights, can they loan you their microphone? for Thursday and Friday because they don't need it after Wednesday and they don't need it again until Sunday. They might be willing to do that for you. So be looking at what your options are. I used to use my karaoke system for outdoor programming, and I actually did kids karaoke out on the lawn for summer library, whatever year we did Make a Splash. Because on one side of the building was splash games, and on my side of the building there was karaoke, and that's where they had popcorn. The karaoke, the little portable karaoke machines, they work just fine, and you can get 2 microphones hooked to those. So, and those you might find for $40, maybe as cheap as that. Karen says Karen from Osborne says you wrote a grant to get an outdoor sound system. We check it out to other organizations that want to use it.
Ta-da! Yay!
That might be something Dane Hansen could get behind up here in Northwest Kansas, or your local community foundation might be able to help you out. Karen says they also use it for their outdoor movies, and Osborne has been paying for the individual movie licensing for individual titles for the past couple of summers. And this year Swank is offering that to Swank licensees. Treva Payton from Ellenwood says for teens, bulletin boards for them to hang their cool stuff that they make for their room. That would be an easy and pretty inexpensive craft activity that you could do. I know we could stay here all day, and finally you're sharing in the chat and you're just getting started. This conversation doesn't have to end. Patty and Diane aren't going anywhere, so you're welcome to reach out to us. Please follow us on our Facebook pages. We have the Central Kansas Library System's official Facebook page, and the CKLS Youth Services Facebook page is filled with content 3 days a week. Diane and I shove activities out there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of each week, and sometimes on Saturdays when I'm not doing anything. If you don't have enough ideas at the end of today, watch it for 2 more weeks, and I bet your summer programs will be written. And frankly, you might not have had to open your manual up. I'm not saying that's not a good idea, but it's there. Regarding the manual, some news that I learned in the last couple of days. Last year, CSLP put together a 90-page packet of materials, and that packet for 2021 will be released, and that will be all things that can be turned into Take and Make. Although Kansas libraries, many or most of them are open, we have to remember that the rest of the US, North America, and the islands that CSLP serves as members are not. Of all CSLP members, the only place that has not had a single case of coronavirus is the Samoan Islands. So they are responding to the fact that Seattle and that metro area is shut down again. New York City is shut down again. So they've created an up to 90-page packet again that is printable. So if you see parts of that packet that you need printed for you and you need 20 copies for your story time, call Diane and I, and we'll tell you how to go through that process of getting copies made for your story programs if you are a CKLS library. It is the right thing that CSLP is doing that. I don't anticipate it being a thing that lasts forever, but for this time of COVID, they are responding in the proper way and providing this material when, frankly, some people have not been in their libraries at all since that first shutdown in March of 2020. So I can't say more than how awesome you guys are. Every time we have one of these workshops, Patty misses being Miss Patty, being the girl who got to go out and play with kids every day. And I think probably through this last year, you're probably feeling it the most, that I've been feeling, missing being with all of you. But you're awesome. You have so much to give to your communities, and your talents are endless. If nobody told you that you're doing a good job today, then my charge to you is to go home or go to the bathroom and look in the mirror and tell that person that she's doing a good job and she's doing everything that she can do, because you can only do what you can do. And we want to thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We will capture the chat and save it, and we'll go, Diane and I will go back through it probably next week after we put all this stuff away and respond to any of those specific questions. But you all are just amazing. For CKLS librarians, Diane and I are itching to get back on the road, and we will be back. And when we are, you will see the real us. We miss you. Hey, Diane, what'd you say? What'd you say, Diane? We miss you. We love you. You rock.
And that gets me every time.
Thank you for spending your day with CKLS.
We're glad. Diane and I will stay in the room for about 10 more minutes if there's anything that you need to chat with. Mary Beth, you may stop the recording.